Welcome to Turbulent Flow, or welcome back. This is the video log where I talk about life, the universe, and everything as a 54-year-old mechanical engineer, recreational circus artist, and two-time breast cancer alumnus. The breast cancer part, for the most part at this point, involves essentially, life and existence as a human being who has gone from being I was a 34F for most of my adult life, and now 100% completely flat. So, and I don't, it's a personal preference. I don't wear prosthetics. I don't do anything like that. Just like I don't actually edit this vlog. It's always done as a one-take wonder. So if you are a person who requires really high-end editing skills, and I can certainly appreciate it when I'm watching other people's vlogs and blogs and podcasts, that's not what this is. So just to catch up on this week, say hi. I had the opportunity. It's Sunday morning here in Toronto, so it's Sunday the 5th of July. We had a very weird week here in Canada from a work perspective, simply because the July 1st holiday fell on Wednesday this year, which was a wonderful way to basically turn the whole week into a complete trash fire of unproductivity. It was really hard to kind of focus on work. I'm not gonna lie. To do a Monday, Tuesday, knowing that there was no, that Wednesday was essentially more like a Saturday, but then to then have like one whole day off, but you can't really kind of settle into it. Plus it was hot as all get out. It was so stinking hot on Wednesday, July the 1st, that honestly, I was kind of happy that we didn't have any actual plans. We just stayed in the house. And, we took the dogs for a walk, but apart from that, we really didn't do very much. I had aspirations of cleaning up the yard. I had aspirations of, doing some circus on the, some circus training on the aerial rig outside, but absolutely none of that happened. We did make it to by we, I mean my husband and I, we made it to the rock climbing gym. So I got some exercise that way, but other than that, I spent the day sitting in the air conditioning with my knitting, and just watching House of the Dragon. I think was mostly how I spent that day, which is mostly what I wanted to talk about today, because I swear it was just 3 weeks ago. It was about 3 weeks ago. I spent May and June like really focusing on my recovery and strength rebuilding after my double mastectomy. That only happened about 6.5 months ago for me. So I'm, this is a very new body change for myself. And I was really focused on those during those first 6 months. So leading up to into the first half of June, I was doing everything I could. I was laser focused. I was going to therapy. I was working with a personal trainer who really did incredible work to help me, rebuild strength throughout my body. I gained back my full mobility after a double mastectomy, which is pretty incredible. The fact that I can raise my arms right above my head. I can do pull-ups again. My husband and I, that's why we started going back to the rock climbing gym. It was something we had fallen out of. We ebb and flow over the years. Our very first date was at the rock climbing gym, and despite the fact that neither one of us was like a super serious rock climber at the time, but it's one of those things that we always come back to. We enjoy doing it together. So, one of the things that we did to kind of rebuild our relationship, I guess, or, just do together as a thing that was going to help my recovery and our relationship. I'd had a really, really big surgery. It was a really big surgery that, unsurprisingly, had a little bit of an effect on our relationship, since he's he was the only other person that basically spends time actually with that part of my body. So it was good in so many ways that we started kind of regularly going to the rock climbing gym. There's a lot of trust required when you're actually belaying somebody else and providing their safety and protection. That's not actually what I'm trying to focus on in this particular ramble, but it just kind of adds to the fact that I was doing an awful lot. I was, like I said, rock climbing, working out with a personal trainer. I had a weekly aerial class that I was going to, so I was doing silks, once a week. I've also got a teenager, so there's a kind of an existence that's built around the routine of waking the kid up and sending them off to school, making lunch, things like that. All of those things, I was doing all of those things. I will admit it was getting a little potentially overwhelming. It's a lot. It's a lot to be working full time and trying to rebuild your strength and trying to rebuild your habits and trying to basically sort of get back to normal or re-find what's going to be normal after such a big physical change, and just deal with the psychological fallout of having a cancer recurrence. That certainly can't be discounted. But 3 weeks ago, I felt like I was really kind of peaking. I was feeling really strong. I was feeling really, really capable. I was basically I was feeling really, really good. And are you noticing the fact that I'm using the word was? Because 3 weeks ago, I remember that I was in a self that was feeling fantastic. I was feeling so strong. And something happened in the last 3 weeks. And it was really noticeable during those rock climbing sessions, because when you're climbing up a route, I was climbing up routes that I had climbed before. I had literally climbed a week before. And suddenly I didn't have that confidence. I didn't feel like I had that strength to get up those routes. So it really kind of, it made a connection between my physical body, my physical capabilities, and it twigged me to the idea that there was something going on in my head. Because nothing had changed. I wasn't injured. Life had not had like any sort of big change, but something shifted about 3 weeks ago. And about a week ago, I started acknowledging, because that shift wasn't going away. And I'm going to have to acknowledge that, yes, I'd had packed a lot of things in. I had a lot of organized and structured things, and they all fell away in the last 2 weeks. And that did not combine well with that shift. I mean, maybe I was having a mental preliminary. Maybe I was stressing about the fact that things were shifting, but things shifted. I'm not kidding. My therapy program, which was 8 weeks long for this particular session, so it ended. My kid finished school and then immediately left for summer camp. So my kid's in the middle of the outdoors right now, and I have zero access to them unless there's an actual emergency. So my all of the routine that's built around my child is gone. So let me see, therapy, that. My aerial classes have ended for the summer session, for this session. I have a backyard aerial rig, so that was not supposed to be a big deal. I was going to train in the backyard. But this mental thing that I'm having wasn't getting me out as much as I should have been getting out. And then we had a stinking heat wave over the last week, so that really wasn't practical. And yet I still didn't bring my cube back up here to the office, where the air conditioning is. I do have options. I could have done something, I could have done conditioning here on the floor where I'm sitting right now. I could have done my sit-ups and my push-ups, and I've got a pull-up bar. I could be doing all of those things. None of it happened. Well, okay. Some of it happened, but not very much. And so that changed. Yeah, it's weird. I feel like I just kind of my jet was right up there, really climbing and feeling strong, and now I've just kind of stalled out. And I feel like maybe it's I got concerned that it was starting to drop. I talked about it during my last video, just this idea that I also measured my blood pressure, and it had gone up. My weight has been climbing up. That was all to be expected. Well, okay, the blood pressure, no. But the weight climb, that was expected. I was rebuilding muscle. I was rebuilding strength. You need calories, you need energy. I expected that. So maybe the blood pressure is affecting it. Maybe it's menopause. I mean, my breasts were taken off. I'm 54 years old. That's going to shift my hormone levels. So I'm going to acknowledge that, maybe it's not just a giant failing of me. But regardless of that, I'm not feeling as strong. I'm not feeling as capable. I'm not feeling as confident as I was 3 weeks ago. And I don't like that. I don't want that. I want to get back to that person who was feeling that way. It was good. I want her back. I want to live with her. I want to live in her all the time. I know it's not possible to have that all the time, but that's what I want. So, and that's important to me. It's how I feel really, really healthy. So that's what I'm focusing on now, is trying to pull myself out of that stall. This week, as I mentioned earlier in the previous video, I've been focusing on eating healthier, writing down what I'm eating, writing down how much I'm eating. For some reason, I didn't want to use the app that I had been using previously. It was just the advertisements on it, and were just kind of bugging me. So instead, I'm using just an old school analog notebook, got a pen and some paper, and just writing it out. I'm not calculating calories. I'm just writing it out. I've lost weight over previous years, and step one for me is just paying attention. Just paying attention to my portion sizes, paying attention to the quality of my food. So I'm doing that. I'm measuring my blood pressure every day. It's only been a week. There's not really enough time yet to find out if that's actually going to change things or make a difference, but I'm starting to build that data, and so that hopefully should give me some answers. But yeah, and that's the other reason why I was like, today, I know I was like all, I was pretty nicely dressed last time. That's because I filmed it in, I think, the middle of one of my work days, so I was dressed a little bit more nicely. This is Sunday morning. Sunday morning is for cleaning the bathroom and getting out in the yard and doing some yard work. So this is not a day for getting all dressed up, at least not yet. I'll probably dress a lot nicer for the second half of the day, but this is the time that I've got when I can actually make a recording, because everyone's out of the house. I don't know why I'm so self-conscious about the idea of recording these when there's anybody else in the house, even if they're not in the same room. It's one of those funny things about this vlog, but I'm gonna be really frank. I only ever record them when there's nobody else at home, except for the dogs, which is why there's nothing to be done to make them stop barking, apart from me running away, and then I'd have to edit, and that doesn't happen. So that's what's going on with me. that's kind of where my head is right now. I'm getting there. I think another week of, like, you know, now that I've had a solid week of paying attention to the quality of the food that I'm eating, I'm now going to start, you know, really purposefully building back my exercise routines and purposefully journaling again, because that, you know, that's essentially, you know, kind of going to provide sort of a very similar effect that the therapy was doing for me. So this week is all about working out and journaling as much as practical. Hi, Billy. You gonna come in and say hi? You want to come in, buddy? Hi, bud. Are you able to do that? You can do it. Come on. Nope. Billy was gonna come say hi, but he's a little. Oh, there he is. He was a little freaked out by this thing that's right behind me. It's a slack line. It's a portable slack line that I've set up in the office. I figured if I was being too lazy to bring the actual cube up and do a proper workout on my cube, because, you know, in my head I'm still going to take it outside. I'm supposed to be working on my upcoming aerial performance. I'm supposed to be building that routine that's going to happen at the end of October. So I'm for some reason I had a mental block against bringing it upstairs and doing a workout. So I'm starting to get little mini vestibular workouts by using this slack line. It works kind of like a tightrope if you're not familiar with what a slack line is. So I can just slide it into the middle of the office and walk down it, because I've definitely noticed that my balance is not as good as I get older as it was when I was younger, and, you know, did a lot of recreational gymnastics. You know, balance beam, really good for balance. Haven't been doing that, so I'm gonna try and improve my balance by just kind of playing around in here. And that's so those are the changes that I'm making, is really just paying attention to what I'm eating, paying attention to my workouts. So that's what I'm going to do next, which is why I still wasn't going to go take a shower or do anything, because I'm going to clean up the yard, and I'm going to actually, it's not super hot today. The weather seems to have finally broken a little bit, so I'm going to get out on the aerial rig. I'm saying this to you, whoever's watching, because that will massively increase the chances of me actually doing it, because I need some accountability to myself. I can't, these promises and these intentions can't just live in my head, because I'm having a trouble actually executing them. So I'm going to say them out loud to internet land, so that I actually improve the chances of them happening. So what's coming up next for me today? Yeah, gonna go hopefully get the dog to stop barking. That's the other one. I've got Billy right here at my feet. Hey, bud. And go clean up the yard so that my neighbors don't think that I'm the most terrible, you know, fellow neighborhood person, because I don't like doing yard work. And I'm much more likely to do backyard yard work, because I got to go back and clean up the dog stuff anyways, and I got to clear the space where my aerial rig is anyways, so that I can put down my crash mat. So those are always so much more likely to happen than the actual front yard. The front yard I only see when I'm going in and out of the house. Like, it's less critical. So I'm gonna go clean up the front yard, make my neighbors dislike me a little less. I don't think that's hyperbole. I don't think my neighbors actually hate me, and they might even not dislike me. They're some pretty lovely people. I'm pretty sure we have a decent relationship. This is, you know, this is just me being extreme. So gonna go clean up the yard, make the entire neighborhood a little happier. Oh, I'm also remembering, actually, there's a tree with some berries in that front yard. I should probably pick some of those while I can. Maybe I'll save that for this afternoon. Go harvest some berries off the tree after I clean up the front yard, and then I'm going to do some aerial, and then I will take a shower and enjoy a very relaxing Sunday afternoon, because it's still Sunday morning. There's a lot of stuff to do, and now I'm going to go do it, and I'm feeling a little more like myself now that I've said it out loud. Something about actually just kind of getting things out and saying it out loud to the whatever the heck is out there in internet land. Yeah, it's helping me. I've mentioned before that I started this vlog mostly kind of as a self-therapy thing while I was preparing for my double mastectomy. I had a lot of things going on in my brain, and I just wanted to get them out. And the more I got them out, the more I realized that was helping me. So now that I'm in a different place where I'm trying to change things up and I'm trying to shift things around and get my head sorted, or as the soccer people, we've been watching Canada play in the FIFA Cup. There's a lot of talk about getting their noses in front or noses on straight or doing things. I've got my nose on straight. We've been making fun of the soccer commentating that we're not used to. So I'm gonna get my nose on in front, get my head straightened out. How long it stays, straightened, that's something to worry about later. But right now, I'm gonna do the things that I know will make me feel better. And for me, that is eating well, and that is actually exercising and doing the things that I have been putting off, like cleaning up the yard. So those are the three key things. I've already cleaned the bathroom, so that part is done. Certainly one of the less pleasant errands that needs to get done over the course of in a week of adult activities. So bathroom's done, yard is remaining, aerial is going to happen because it is no longer stinking hot, and then I'm going to relax, break out my knitting, turn on House of the Dragon, and just turn into a complete couch potato while I snuggle with my lovely furry friends. So that's what's going on with me. I hope you're doing well, and if you're finding these ramblings at all interesting, useful, or even vaguely entertaining, hit the subscribe button. It officially doesn't make any difference to me because this is not a monetized blog and I have zero intention of ever turning it into one, because this is my low effort fun thing to do that in some ways does actually seem to help what's going on in my master control center up here in my brain. So have a good day, enjoy yourselves, and let me know how you're doing. Bye.